Welcome to this episode of the Maverick Podcast, your deep dive into the strategic, economic, and technological forces reshaping our world. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most overlooked yet rapidly rising players in the global AI race, China. Forget Silicon Valley for a moment. A quiet AI revolution is unfolding across the Pacific, one built not just on GPUs and code, but on scale, strategy, and statecraft. Let's begin with the big picture. Back in 2017, China laid out an ambitious goal to become the global leader in artificial intelligence by the year 2030. That plan wasn't just a wish list. It was embedded in its national industrial strategy, backed by government policy, massive infrastructure development, and the coordinated efforts of state-owned enterprises, private tech giants, and universities. Fast forward to today, according to Morgan Stanley's Blue Paper, released on May 13, 2025, China's AI industrial complex is no longer theoretical. It is accelerating, and it's doing so in ways fundamentally different from the US approach. Let's get into the numbers. China now has the largest number of AI developers and large language model projects outside of the US tech giants. It also boasts over 4,300 AI-focused companies and a domestic AI industry valued at over $3.2 billion as of 2024. When it comes to LLMs, large language models, China released over 100 new models in 2023 alone, and more than 400 by the end of 2024. Open source is the name of the game. DeepSeek, a model developed in China in just 1 year by a team of fewer than 100 people, triggered what analysts are calling the DeepSeek moment, an inflection point for mass AI adoption. Let's break down why that matters. DeepSeek V2, when released, cost just 1 renminbi per million tokens. That's roughly 1% the cost of GPT-4 Turbo. That pricing disrupted the market so deeply that ByteDance, Alibaba, Baidu, and Tencent were forced to slash their own API pricing by between 70 and 90%. This price war is what Morgan Stanley calls a commoditization of foundational models, not just in concept, but in monetized code. But here's the real kicker. China is building AI systems that are not just powerful, but radically efficient. Despite restricted access to advanced US GPUs like the H100, Chinese developers are achieving near frontier-level results using a mix of older NVIDIA chips, domestically produced GPUs from Huawei and Byron technology, and extreme software optimization. In fact, Huawei's AI-in-a-box system, using thousands of Ascend 910 chips, has demonstrated the ability to train foundational models with over 1 trillion parameters, rivaling the compute capacity of many Western frontier labs. The bigger strategic play? Turn constraints into catalysts. Let's talk about what that means at the national scale. First, the industrial strategy. China is applying AI not to chatbots or art tools, but to its so-called real economy. That means autonomous driving, smart manufacturing, humanoid robotics, logistics, and e-commerce. And the numbers again are staggering. Morgan Stanley estimates that AI could create value equivalent to 6.7 trillion renminbi in labor productivity gains, roughly 4.7% of China's nominal GDP in 2024. By 2030, the return on invested capital from AI is expected to hit 52%, with total consumer AI usage revenues reaching 556 billion renminbi. The e-commerce sector alone is forecast to generate 271 billion renminbi of AI-related revenues. In the enterprise segment, AI software spending is expected to reach 250 billion renminbi by the end of this decade. But there's a catch. AI adoption in China follows a two-speed trajectory. Business to consumer moves fast, business to business lags behind. Why? The B2C sector is driven by super apps like WeChat and Xiaohongshu, which already have massive user data and deep engagement. The B2B side, meanwhile, faces legacy IT infrastructure, software fragmentation, and tighter margins. Now let's shift to infrastructure. Because AI doesn't run on strategy alone, it runs on silicon and electricity. China currently has the second-largest data center industry in the world, right behind the US, and is home to the world's biggest 5G network. 5 hyperscalers, ByteDance, Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, and Kuaishou, are investing nearly 400 billion renminbi annually in cloud infrastructure, half of which is dedicated to AI. From 2024 to 2027, data center energy consumption in China is projected to rise from 1.8% of total electricity use to 2.9%. And by 2035, it could hit 10%. But China's aiming to power this with 100% green energy by 2032, mainly wind and solar. And about hardware? Well, here's where geopolitics kicks in. U.S. export restrictions have indeed made cutting-edge GPUs hard to come by. But the side effect is that Chinese chipmakers, from SMIC to Moore Threads, are racing to innovate. SMIC is now producing 7-nanometer chips for AI, albeit at limited scale. Meanwhile, China's GPU self-sufficiency rate is expected to jump from 34% in 2024 to 82% by 2027. Let's now zoom out to the human layer. China produces 47% of the world's AI researchers, according to the World Economic Forum. More than 535 Chinese universities now offer AI majors. And when we talk about AI talent, it's not just about PhDs, it's about scalable, industry-aligned labor. That's why Beijing is investing heavily in AI-related vocational training and education programs. The physical AI revolution is also gathering steam. By 2050, Morgan Stanley estimates the global market for humanoid robots will reach $5 trillion in annual revenue with 1 billion units in global stock, and China is expected to hold 30% of those units. Production of humanoid robots is projected to scale dramatically starting in 2025. Autonomous driving is another area to watch. Penetration of Level 2 and above ADAS systems is expected to hit 25% in China by the end of 2025, translating to around 6 million vehicles with intelligent driving capabilities. And that's just year one of mass rollout. Let's take a quick look at global influence. China is now actively shaping AI standards, both technical and ethical, on the international stage. The country plans to establish 50 AI safety and governance standards domestically by 2026, and is already participating in the formation of at least 20 international standards. So, how does all this position China in the global AI race? If the US still leads in foundational models and elite research, China leads in infrastructure scale, deployment speed, energy availability, and low-cost scalability. And here's the key takeaway. Leadership in AI is no longer just about the smartest model. It's about building the widest, most interoperable ecosystem. According to Morgan Stanley, China will account for more than 10% of global Gen AI spending by 2028, compared to over 55% in the US, but the gap is narrowing fast. And that's why ignoring China in AI is not just a strategic oversight, it's a blind spot. From DeepSeek's API pricing war to Huawei's chip innovation and the explosive growth of data centers and humanoid robotics, China is not just catching up, it's redesigning the game board. If you want to understand the future of AI, don't just look at San Francisco. Look at Shenzhen. Look at Hefei. Look at Zhengzhou. Because that's where the new AI superpower is waking up. And it's not going back to sleep. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Maverick Podcast. If you found this valuable, follow us, share the episode, and keep watching the numbers. Because the future is being written, one model at a time.